What's up, everybody? Welcome back if you're here before. I'm Neon Mushroom. Today we're doing something that I used to do before my mandatory departure for health reasons that lasted like half a year. We're playing Magic the Gathering Online. Normally, Max and I, for like the last month since coming back, we've been playing a ton of paper Magic, which is kind of the core of this channel. But today, I want to play some MTGO, because MTGO gives us the ability to play one deck into multiple matchups, and it's a little bit easier to make as well. The editing load, as you can imagine, is very simple, so we're going to be doing a good amount of this, and we're going to start with the deck we just uploaded a couple days ago, which is this is like 5 or 6 cards different from Yuta Takahashi's deck from the Pro Tour, and this is the blue-black Murktide Regent Psychic Frog deck. If you want to see the list, that's in the description. If you want to see me playing this deck in paper, there's a card for that, and because I explained the deck in that video, I'm not going to go too crazy talking about all the selections in this deck. I will quickly give you the plan for the deck, which is to use Psychic Frog to turbo out of Murktide and protect it with just a ton of counter magic. Trying to win the game fairly aggressively. We have a decent long game. One thing, I've been testing this deck a little bit, and I'm not sure about the deep analysis. It's really cool. There is a chance that that card is just supposed to be Archmage's Charm. There's also a chance that's just me loving Archmage's Charm. It's, like I said, tons of interaction, tons of counter magic, a lot of card draw, and really fast threats. And we're just gonna give this a shot in a modern Magic the Gathering Online league. Let's go ahead and jump into round number 1. All right, round 1, and we won the die roll, so we'll take the play. This deck is a little bit different from the Grixis Murktide variant, where we don't play as many threats and as much proactive interaction as the Grixis deck, but we have a fastest game. So we're going to be a little bit picky with the opening hand we take. That said, this is a double Bowmasters hand on the play. We unfortunately don't have any way to convert the Subtlety, but this opener might be fine on the blind. Double Bowmasters can beat up on a lot of different decks. And the Fatal Push will protect us if we're going against Boros Energy or something. The hand's a little bit weak, but with double threat plus Subtlety, so we draw any blue card, and then we can kind of like clear the way for Bowmasters to keep clocking in. Could be pretty good. We hope this isn't something weird like Living End. This hand's pretty weak to that. Well, we got double Bowmaster, but we can't protect ourselves from them living ending us. But we'll give it a shot. We're definitely going to lead on fetch land. Ideally, our opponent doesn't do anything meaningful on turn 1. I know that's a stretch because this is modern, and turn 1's a big one. But we just love the ability to go fetch out a tapped Surveil land. Our opponent leads on Devourer of Destiny in the Exile Zone, which is not great. That means they're going to get to look at the top 4 cards. But more importantly, that tells us this is either Eldrazi, Tron, or just Tron. I think both decks are playing that card. So we're going to go with the alpha plan of Misty Rainforest into pass the turn. Can I zoom in? There, I'll try to make the battlefield a little bit bigger and my hand a little smaller. Urza's Tower into Expedition map is not great. Our goal now is to find a frog as fast as possible, turbo it into play, and use that to fuel Murktide. We have none of those pieces, so it starts with the Surveil land for sure. Undercity Sewers, trigger, is this a frog? It's not a bad card, all things said. It does pitch to the Subtlety as well, but I think we can get a little greedy. I'm going to put it into the graveyard and hope to draw something a little bit more substantial. Hopefully not this land. Don't do it. Don't you do it. Of course it's a land. Hate to see it. We'll drop the land. We're just going to Bowmasters our opponent. I'm not sure if pitching that Preordain was greedy or not. It's kind of hard to tell. I just don't know if I have time to like cast Preordain and not get a Bowmasters into play. That is an Expedition map telling me our opponent is just on straight up Tron, not Eldrazi Tron. So we'll have a little bit more time, but they've got a lot of cards that punish us really, really bad. That's also a mine and a tower, so they're going to be building Tron immediately. So we need to find a blue pitch for the Subtlety sooner than later. Let's go ahead and get this Orcish Bowmaster into play. Black, blue, Bowmasters hit you for 1, bring you to 17 after combat. Do some work. Boop. Okay, you're at 19, Migo. Draw for turn. What's the draw? Is it good? It's a Spell Snare. It's exactly not good, but it does pitch to Subtlety. We have to get aggressive. We're going to play Scalding Tarn. I'm going to go to combat. I'm going to attack with both, then I'm going to flash into Bowmasters to change them from taking 2 damage to taking 4, which is slightly better. Beep, beep. Go to blocks. No blocks. Blue, black. Of course, there's no blocks. I don't have a creature to block with, but I like doing everything as late as possible because, I don't know, but try hard. Try to bring our opponent to 15. Yay. This clock is still not even close to fast enough. Our opponent's going to build Tron. Hopefully they don't have anything with a very good cast trigger, and they just try to put a Karn on the stack or something. That I can Subtlety the Karn and try to Surveil into maybe a Murktide. Could be not the worst. All right, what's the 7-drop? When you cast it, you exile a permanent that's 1 or more colors. We will get to Subtlety this. However, they're just going to get to recast this Devourer of Destinies. We got to do what we got to do. We're going to fetch first. grab an Undercity Sewers to find out what we're drawing before we pitch cast the Subtlety. Preordain is not, well, maybe Preordain's not that bad. We're actually going to top that. We can try to use it to find a Psychic Frog. Then we're going to cast this by exiling Spell Snare, because I just can't beat that right now. You can do that again next turn if you want. If you want to tap out again to beat just a Bowmaster, that's okay. And the reason we're looking specifically for Psychic Frog is because Devourer of Destiny's trigger can wipe out a Murktide. So that's a little bit shoddy. But the Preordain on top of our library will allow us to look for and then cast a Psychic Frog. That won't necessarily win us the game or anything. All right, we see Island, Misty Rainforest. Neither of those are what we want, so we're going bottom. And we see another Subtlety. We cannot hardcast it. They're gonna get the Devourer into play, so we're gonna concede here. Tactical concession for time. Begin sideboarding, and let's see what we want to do. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Our opponent, we actually had a lot of bad cards in the matchup, unfortunately. We do have some good things to bring in. We're bringing in 2 Subtlety. We're gonna go up to 4 after sideboard. Their deck plays just a billion fat creatures that if we Subtlety them, especially if we get to the point where you can hardcast the Subtlety, it's a serious tempo swing. Consign to Memory as a 3-of is a new card, and it's really good. Can I actually look at it? No, MTGO doesn't let me do what MTGA does. But it's a little bit of a 1-drop that can counter either a colorless spell or a triggered ability, which is going to counter all the triggered abilities from all the Eldrazi, as well as counter the creature itself. That's actually our best sideboard card, and a second Force of Negation for both Karns in the One Ring. We're losing Spell Snare because I think they have like 1 target for Spell Snare, and it's probably like Sylvan Scrying if they still play that card. And we're taking out all 4 Fatal Push. Fatal Push can notably deal with Thought-Knot Seer. Our threats all fly for the most part, so we're not interested in that. Cards we're not excited to keep, but we have to keep, are going to be the additional Spell Snare and the, which one is it? Drown in the Loch. Those are all kind of awkward. There is a chance that we're supposed to like bring in Dress Down as a cycle instead of leaving another Spell Snare in our deck. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct. I'm not going to, just in case I'm wrong about Spell Snare being completely dead. But that's how we're going to try this for game 2, and me will be on the play. All right, take the play. What's my opener look like? We're looking for a particularly aggressive hand, which this one can be. Like, I've got the Psychic Frog and the Undercity Sewers. It's a little bit sketchy, but I've also got a Force of Negation to protect Psychic Frog. There are certainly better 7s, and if I miss on land, this is going to look very stupid. I do, however, think I'm going to try this, because if they can't kill this Psychic Frog, it probably will just take us to the finish line. We're going to play this Undercity Sewers, just hoping against all hope that we surveil a land at the top of our deck. They always have the Devourer of Destinies. Hate to see it. All right, Undercity Sewers, show me the top card. Is it a land? It's not. That can go into the graveyard. Hopefully we draw land, but if we don't, we have Preordain. That does put us on the back foot a little bit, though. Don't love being on the back foot against literal Tron. A card you can play on the sideboard in this deck against Tron, if you want to have a little bit more game against them, is Break the Ice. I'm not a huge fan of that card. A part of that is because my local metagame, there's not very many Tron players. But, you know, if we play this game again, or this deck again on MTGO, we may try it with Break the Ice, as I have been doing a little bit of grinding on MTGO. I'm talking faster than I'm able to. In anticipation of starting to make some MTGO videos again, and I've seen like an above average amount of Tron, so that might be an indicator we need to uptick the amount of Tron hate we have in the sideboard. We missed the land, which is going to hurt us pretty bad, but this Preordain should statistically give us our second land drop, which it does. This Counterspell can go on the bottom, this Watery Grave can go on the top. We will shock in the Watery Grave, and then we do not have a Spell Pierce or anything, so we're going to take the opportunity to just Preordain again and try to set up drawing into like a Murktide. Because if we can go Psychic Frog into Murktide, that's just so sweet. Neither of these are lands. I do think we want one more land for this game plan. The second Force also isn't incredibly potent, so we're going to go bottom, draw this Orcish Bowmasters. That's not the best, but it's also not the worst. It does present a little bit more damage. We might actually use Force of Negation on something like an Expedition map if they have it, though they didn't have it turn 1, so that's unlikely. We'd also use it on a Sylvan Scrying if they go like Forest Sylvan Scrying. The ideal is to use it on Kozilek's Command, which I believe most of these decks are playing. Looks like our opponent might have natural Tron. They kept a large hand size and they went Tower into Power Plant, so that's not great for us. All right, me take draw. Me draw Murktide. Me have chance. Okay, let's go blue, let's go black, let's play Psychic Frog. I know what my plan is. Pass to you, opponent. In a perfect world, they just go make Tron, play Big Karn. That's just an Eldrazi Temple, so they actually didn't even make Tron. That's not the worst. 4, sure. Kozilek's Command? You would like to exile target creature with mana value, blah, blah, blah. What if, and hear me out, I Force of Negation that by exiling a... How many chances am I going to get to cast these counterspells? Not many? Not many. Maybe it's just supposed to be a counterspell. No, I think there's a low chance of that being correct. Let's actually pitch Consider. No, thank you. This being Kindred, so Eldrazi Temple gives the mana for it, is just so absurd. All right, they pass to us. We're going just so fast. All right, there's another Murktide. That ain't nothing. Let's go pitch Orky Bow. How big can we get this Murktide? 1, 2, 3, 4. We can make it a 4/4, but we get to go to combat first. Do we want to do a little bit more damage? Can I bring them to a 2-turn clock after this turn? I hit them for 2, then I make an 8/8. The answer is just yes, regardless of what I do pre-combat. So I get to go to attacks, beep beep for 2. You take 2, me draw a card. It's a Preordain. Be nice to be able to cast that right now, but I don't think that's the world we're living in. So we're gonna make a blue, we're gonna make a blue, we're gonna play a Murktide, we're gonna exile just our entire graveyard. Here is a 2-turn clock, opponent. Pass to you. And can I deal 18 damage? No. How much damage could we deal? We've got 3 instants or sorceries, so if we pitch all 3 of those to the Psychic Frog, that's going to be 5 plus 7 is 12, 13, 14, 15 if I exile all 3 from the graveyard to give Psychic Frog flying. Thought-Knot Seer? Yeah, I can't stop you from doing that. You have a Thought-Knot Seer. I guess one thing I could do is pitch every single card in my hand to the Psychic Frog in response. But I like having counterspells in my hand just in case. A really good top deck from this point would be Subtlety. But we may be on the exile cards from our graveyard to float our Psychic Frog to deal just as much combat damage as possible. What did they take? Our Orcish Bowmasters? That's interesting. Thought-Knot Seer... No, they took... What did they take there? Looks like they took the Orcish... No, the Orcish Bowmasters was gone. Oh, they took Preordain. I see what they did there. Okay, cool. You have a 4/4. Maybe I don't need to float this Psychic Frog. Maybe I just need to use it to punch through the Thought-Knot Seer. That could also be a thing. Let's actually do that. If they don't block, what can I do? Can't deal 18, so it doesn't matter. Let's go to combat. Let's attack with both. If you'd like to block with Thought-Knot Seer, that's fine. Cool. You've blocked with Thought-Knot Seer. I'm going to activate this ability twice. I'll pitch Darkslick Shores. I will pitch Counterspell. And you are a 4/5 now, correct? Yep. So I'm going to kill your Thought-Knot Seer. Thought-Knot Seer triggers and I draw a card anyway. They're at 11. Do I want to put this Darkslick Shores into play? Maybe not. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're dead on board. The only problem I'm foreseeing is that if I get Wrath somehow, then I guess I have a counterspell so they can't. But I like having this Darkslick Shores to pitch to make another Murktide bigger. That's kind of tough. I think I'm just going to leave it in my hand. I'm not sure what's correct. All right, go, opponent. Another Eldrazi Temple, sure. Are they jamming a Devourer of Destiny? Yeah, they're going to take out our Murktide, which is fine. I still get to counterspell the Devourer itself, which is pretty sweet. That is going to exile my Murktide, unfortunately. But I do get to redeploy another Murktide, which is pretty cool. All right, I take a draw step. Another land. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to combat, attack for 4. And then I'm going to make it 5/6. And you can take 6, opponent. And then I will draw a card. It's Orcish Bowmasters, which is kind of neat. And then I'm going to deploy yet another gigantic Murktide. This is what I meant when I said the frog could turbo out the Murktides. It's just a 5/5, but for our purposes right now, that is plenty. Pass to you, opponent. Now, if they have something like a destroy all non-colored permanents, like the 7-mana Wrath, Dust to Dust, I think, something like that, all is dust. There's not a lot we can do about that. They can't cast it currently. They need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They either need to make Tron or just have a land drop. It's a 7-drop, right? So Ugin Zyrath 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, any land drop will do it, unfortunately. So we just cross our fingers that they don't have it. If they do, we still have the Orcish Bowmaster in the event they just like have nothing else going on. Okay, they play Ugin's Labyrinth. If they don't pitch to it, I have to assume they're going to all as dust us. Some big fat fatty. It's another Devourer, which isn't great for us. but depending on what we draw, we might be able to float the frog anyway. So Murktide is gone. Devourer is a 6/6, which funnily enough, doesn't do a good job of getting in the way of Psychic Frog. But if you draw like a Preordain or a Consider or something, we can just kill our opponent. Or geez, even a Deep Analysis would work. It's a Spell Snare, so none of that does it. However, this is a 6/6, and we're looking at a 6/7, meaning attack. You just have to block this. What's underneath this? Another Devourer of Destiny? That's not great for us. All right, here comes my frog. You're required to block this. Beep, beep. All right, kill the Devourer and pass the turn. Please don't draw anything potent. Another Devourer of Destiny. And does that mean, hold on, 1, 2, 3. And they've seen all 4 Devourers? Incredible. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go blue, black, Bowmasters them for whatever that's worth. That is ridiculous. 4 Devourers, that's tough. All right, make an Orc army. You take 1, you get a Devourer, I suppose. All right, my turn. We need like heater after heater. Consign the memory would have been just so good last turn. Instead, we have to pass. This is looking pretty grim, but we're gonna keep playing. Just because we could technically draw like a Psychic Frog or something, and that can become very lethal very quickly. We'll have to draw a land too, though, because we need to be able to consign the 4th Devourer of Destiny's trigger. Thought-Knot Seer, we can counter both halves of this, I guess. Blue, blue, consign, cast with replicate, target. Wait, cancel, cancel, cancel. Thought-Knot enters the battlefield. Oh no, we can just counter it. That's right. Thought-Knot Seer isn't a cast trigger, it's an ETB. They probably can't attack, right? Without being just so incredibly brave. All right, my turn. Polluted Delta, it's not nothing. We at least get to get a Surveil. It might be correct to do it now. That way, if we get a Deep Analysis, we can just cast it straight away. So let's grab Undercity Sewers, put that into play tapped. Triggers, look at the top card. Watery Grave, goes to the graveyard, pass turn. No attacks. Yep, return the exiled card to hand, double Devourer. We actually, I'm pretty sure, can't win after this. Does anything let us win? I guess technically we can draw into like Consider into Murktide, and the Murktide's a 5/5. We give it a little bit more time, but I think we're just pretty much out of luck here. 4 Devourers is so brutal. All right, here we're kind of forced to make a block. You don't have trample, do you? No. All right, me block. We'll play to our 1 out. Urz is mine, which also makes them Tron. Not great. Yes, you've cast another Devourer. I'm livid. Okay, me go. Misty Rainforest? Okay. We're dead. I think we're out of outs. Okay, that puts us at 0-1. That's pretty sad. Although I think our opponent had to draw 4 Devourers to stop us, so that's not the worst thing in the world. Let's get into round number 2. 0-2 lost. You hate to see that round 1. All right, round 2, our opponent rolled a 3 and we rolled a 2, so they get to be on the play. Hate to see it. Looking back, thinking about that last game, maybe I was supposed to be just a touch more greedy with my opener. This hand, I've got so many pieces. I don't have a frog or anything, but I can open on Preordain. I've got Bowmasters, Drown in the Loch, Spell Pierce. I've got a lot of pieces. On the draw, I suspect I'm supposed to keep this. But then again, I just have not put nearly enough games in with this deck to know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing all the time. That's a Treasure Vault, so like maybe Affinity? Could be. All right, me go. Murktide, that's a pretty good draw. Let's go Fetch Shock. I'm gonna go ahead and get a Preordain out of the way now. Ouch. Blue, Preordain. Land plus push. Don't know that I'm gonna need the push just yet. Do know that I want the land, so I'll keep that on top. Draw that and pass. What's the soonest I can Murktide here? I guess it's going to depend on the rate that my opponent plays their spells. All right, we've got a Saga, so Consign to Memory is going to be very good in this matchup. Looks like they're doing nothing, which is okay with me. Here's a Flooded Strand. I'm just going to pass the turn. Now I've got Counterspell up, which is pretty great. These decks typically, whatever this deck is, if it's Affinity or something, they sometimes struggle to actually just deal with the giant Murktide. Another Urza Saga is not great, however. Are they going to make a construct? Glaring Fleshraker. They're not going to use their Sagas yet? I mean, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and counterspell the Glaring Fleshraker. Get an island. Tap for 1, 2. Counterspell the Fleshraker. Go away, please. They pass to us. Very cool. Take a draw. It's a Preordain. If our Preordain hits just right, we can actually staple a Murktide to the table. So let's cast it. Neither of these do it, so they're going bottom, bottom. Let's cross fingies for a land here. Ooh, you hate to see it. No land. Okay, well, it looks like we're Murktiding next turn, and we're shields down right now. We need this Spell Pierce to do a lot of work for us. Although I doubt it's going to. Their likely best line of play is to activate Saga to make a construct, and then search for just some very good artifact. I assume this would be Affinity. I haven't seen Glaring Flesh. Is it Flesh Taker or Flesh Raker? Glaring Flesh Raker alongside Urza Sagas and Treasure Vault. That's pretty interesting. All right, they're just floating the mana, which is fine. What do we search for? Springleaf Drum, sure. Tap for 3 for another Glaring Flesh Raker, sure. They haven't used these sagas at all. That's weird. Okay, you got an Ornithopter, Glaring Flesh Raker triggers. You make an artifact, or not an artifact, a Eldrazi Scion. Eldrazi Spawn, even. And then I take one. Another Ornithopter. Okay. Cool. I think that Toxic Deluge is also going to be quite good here. Mind Stone. This, I can Spell Pierce with the Glaring Flesh Raker's trigger on the stack. So I'm going to do that. But you do get a Scion, and I do take one. All right, looks like they're just passing. I think they're finally done with their turn. That was kind of nuts. Their Ornithopters are going to be annoyingly very good blockers for my Murktide. Is it better to get Psychic Frog into play first or Murktide into play first? I think just putting a gigantic creature into play is going to be ideal, especially if they use their Urza Saga to go get some way to deal with my graveyard. So let's go blue, blue, Murktide, exiling 1, 2, 3, 4 good cards and a Polluted Delta to make a 7/7, which should be substantial. If they go to get like a either Spellbomb, we're probably just dead, but we'll see what happens. Not going to lie, I've been unexcited about Nadu. So like, first of all, Nadu's got to get banned, right? Like Nadu's just the worst thing for the format. But funnily enough, it's not very easy to play it on MTGO because the deck has like a billion little meticulous actions you have to take to win the game. And MTGO is not very friendly for all these little actions. You can't really take shortcuts or anything. So with that in mind, we're probably not going to see any Nadu on online. But this is playing just a little bit of grinding I've been doing. I've seen a ton of these colorless Eldrazi decks. And I'm not sure how good the matchup's supposed to be for our deck here. This Glaring Flesh Raker with these with all these little dorks coming into play is pretty insane though. And that's a gigantic construct, and they go to get a second Springleaf Drum, sure. Tap for a white. What's your white casting? Sojourner's Companion, sure. Big artifact dudes. That's a second Sojourner's Companion? Yeah, I have no clue how I'm supposed to win here. You know what? I'm not. Let's save some time. That was kind of insane what our opponent just did to us. What's good against our opponent? We've got some options. Let's see here. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm taking out Force of Negation, Deep Analysis, 2 Drawn on the Loch, and a Counterspell. Cards are all, like, they're not very good at the rate we're casting them against our opponent's deck. Their spells are all very cheap, so Counterspell is usually trading down for mana, sometimes even if I'm lucky. Drawn on the Loch, they're not filling the graveyard that fast, and it's going to be difficult to get it to function. And then Deep Analysis is slow. Force of Negation is not ideal. I think our opponent's deck is mostly creatures. We're bringing in Toxic Deluge because they're making a bunch of tiny creatures, and one Toxic Deluge might be enough to just take us over the top. Consign to Memory. This card's insane against colorless decks, and Dress Down is very good against Saga. So this is what we're going to try, and we'll be on the play for game numero dos. I won the die roll. You mean I lost game 1? I'll take the play. All right, we've got double Psychic Frog, Snare, Murktide, Consign. If we can find land number 2, we've got the Psychic Frog Murktide combo. I think we're going to try it. Is this greedy? Yeah, this is greedy. This is incredibly greedy. Am I going to try it anyway? Yes. Because our plan here is to Windmill Slam the Psychic Frog just into play, and then use Psychic Frog's ability to pitch a bunch of cards and turbo out Murktide Regent, which seems very good. Springleaf Drum, I'm not going to counter. I think that would be silly. So they just open on Springleaf. I'm going to go grab a Surveil land, giving myself 2 chances to draw land number 2, which would just be so great. Undercity Sewers, please find me a land. Fungies crossed. Cross your fingers at home too. Toxic Deluge is cool. It's not what we want right now. Into the Grave. Double Fingies crossed. Oh yeah, there it is. Scalding Tarn. All right, we're going to fetch. Dot will need 2 blue anytime soon, so we're going to go grab a basic island. And then we go boop, black, Psychic Frog, pass the turn. I'm going to cast a Murktide next turn. And hopefully they don't just go like 6 Ornithopters and a Sojourner's Companion. It will probably be okay. There's the Saga. Unfortunately, we can't consign it because we had to get our Psychic Frog into play. Mindstone? Sure. Ooh, that's all they're doing. Okay. They can't make colored mana, so I think we're in the clear to do what we want this turn. Let's start by going to combat and attacking them. And then we will go ahead and discard Deep Analysis. We will go ahead and discard Spell Snare. And we're going to stop there just in case we draw... You know what? No, I think we'll discard one more Spell Snare as well. And then we'll go to combat damage. We're going to get a card draw. I'd love to draw just a blue source here. I should have specified on-tap blue source. That would have been smart. Let's play the Undercity Sewers. And Surveil. And we see a Deep Analysis, which we love to put into the graveyard. And then we go blue, blue, Murktide. We'll exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 good cards. We'll leave 2 Deep Analysis in the bin because that's just ideal for us. And here's a Murktide Regent, which is a giant. And then we'll pass. What are the chances we can kill our opponent? We'll be able to pitch our Psychic Frog up to a 7-power creature. And then we can exile 3, bringing our Murktide to a 9/9, and 9 plus 7 happens to be 16. So an Ornithopter is going to break that up pretty good, but we're in a vacuum. We've got a turn 4 kill here. Ugin's Labyrinth, hate to see that. Please don't blow me out too hard, opponent. 2 colorless, 3 colorless, 4 Mystic Forge, sure. Not certain I can lose from this spot just yet. Unless they have just like infinite Cheerios they can cast off the top, that would be unfortunate. All right, they're just passing, which is real good news for us. All right, me on tap, me draw. Orcish Bowmasters. Do we just go for the kill in a vacuum here? Pitch Orcish Bowmasters and Psychic Frog to Psychic Frog to make it 6. Plus 6 is 12. 13, 14 for the Deep Analysis. I'd have to commit to pitching Consign to Memory here as well. They can only make 1 colorless mana. Is that fine? Or do I want to take it a little bit more slowly? I think we didn't come here to not just try to ranch our opponent out. Alternatively, we can also exile Deep Analysis from the graveyard to draw a card, right? You know what, I completely forgot about the best thing. Let's draw 2 with Deep Analysis. That triggers Murktide to become a 7/7. That's going to give us more cards to pitch to Psychic Frog, so we can do this whole line and keep Consign to Memory in our hand. Okay, so now we're going to go discard Psychic Frog to Psychic Frog. Make it bigger. Discard Orcish Bowmasters to Psychic Frog. Make it bigger. Discard Psychic Frog to Psychic Frog. Make it bigger. This is 12. 13 with the Deep Analysis. 14 with the Watery Grave. Yep. Discard a card. This Watery Grave. So that's 13 plus exile Deep Analysis is 14. So we're going to jump the frog now. And they see it. Okay, we figured it out. We just did the turn 4 kill, and that was faster than what our opponent could do. Do we want to make any changes? Damping Sphere potentially is very good against what they're attempting to do to us. On the draw, it seems less good, but what is bad against our opponent? I could see dropping maybe another Counterspell and potentially a Spell Pierce or a Spell Snare. Let's drop a Spell Snare and a Counterspell and bring in these Damping Spheres. This I'm not confident on, but I haven't played matchup like this so far with the printing of Modern Horizons 3. So I want to see if this functions. This is for science. And that is what I meant by turboing out a frog. If nothing else this league, we're turboing out frogs, just like I said I wanted to. Frog, Murktide, things to turbo it. High, I'm keeping. Hopefully this Spell Snare is good. We know they have Mind Stone, so the Spell Snare is actually kind of likely to be okay. We'll keep this. We've got like a billion things to do on one. We're going to hold the Preordain for a little bit, just in case Spell Snare winds up being good. Our opponent also mulliganed, which we don't hate. All right, there's Ugin's Labyrinth. They're going to make my Spell Snare look dumb now, I think. Hey, fellas, is it okay to print Ancient Tomb into Modern? Probably not. Did they do it anyway? I think so. Ooh, Spell Pierce isn't bad either. Darkslick pass. They could just play like their 3-drop creature that whenever they play a thing, you get a thing, and it's crazy. Artifact land cycling at the Sojourner's Companion is fine. I think even if I had the Consign to Memory, I probably wouldn't do it. Darksteel Citadel, sure. So that 3-drop creature is the one thing I really don't want to see, but even if we see it, we can at the very least consider and try to set some stuff up. Looks like they're passing to us, though. All right, let's get this Consider going to start to get our... Oh, wow, Deep Analysis. Put that into the bin. Draw Fatal Push. That's a fine pickup here. Draw Bowmasters. Sure, I'm kind of indifferent to that card in this matchup. It's fine, and I don't want to cut it, but I don't love it either. Here's a Psychic Frog. What do you think about that? All right, go. Even if they're able to answer the Psychic Frog with a way that doesn't use damage, I'm probably still going to set up this Murktide. Ideally, draw a land for the Spell Pierce and just try to protect it. Mystic Forge. Well, I can't stop you, I suppose. Ornithopter, hate to see that. Welding Jar, of course. Here they go. They're going to start Cheeriosing us. Oh, they stopped there. Okay, cool. Migo, land. Wow. That was nice. Here I will just go to combat and attack them, and when they block, I will pitch a card to the Psychic Frog. I could Fatal Push the Ornithopter, but then I can't, like, Murktide plus hold up Spell Pierce, which I'm not even sure how good that is anymore, but I still think I'm going to go for it. Looks like they're not going to block because they care about their artifact count, which is great for us, but we also care about our damage. So we will discard Orcish Bowmaster. I don't think they're 8 cast, so that gets bigger. Then we will discard Preordain. And then I think we need to discard one more. In this case, I think it's probably supposed to be Spell Snare. There's a couple 2-drops that could be bad. Is there a chance it's supposed to be Spell Pierce? I kind of don't know. I'm going to do Spell Pierce just off my gut. All right, take this much damage. Me draw a card off Psychic Frog. It's a Damping Sphere. Well, now I kind of want to cast that, so I'm gonna. I don't know how they win here, but I don't want to find out. Damping Sphere. All right, go. I'll slow roll my Murktide for one more turn. It also stops their soul land from being a soul land, which is kind of neat. All right, exile the top card of your library and lose a life. Great. Go. Exile the top card again. Sure. It's a Mind Stone. What now? Null Elemental Blast. Stinky. But sure. They can't cast another spell after this, I don't believe, unless it's like a 0-drop or, yeah, just a 0-drop. I don't know how many 1-drops they actually have. This does give us access to our Murktide, so we still got some game to play, fortunately. Also, we can fetch for a come into play tap land. Memnite, tap a mana for a Memnite, sure. You can't cast spells anymore, which is pretty sweet. Would you like to attack for 0 and assert your dominance? Coward. Okay, go to my end step. Let's go ahead and grab a Surveil land. In this case, Undercity Sewers. Boop. All right, show me the top. That is garbage. Let's put that in the graveyard. All right, me go. Watery Grave? Why would I shock this into play? Damping Sphere is going to stop me from doing anything else with it, so I won't. I'll go blue, Murktide Regent. Let's exile. Consider Preordain, Spell Snare. I think I want that Deep Analysis in there still, so I think we're settling for a 5/5. Consider Preordain, Spell Snare. No, a 6/6. We'll also get rid of Orcish Bowmaster and Darksteel Citadel, or Darkslick Shores, and tap 2 blue. Here's my Murktide. Play this. No reason to shock it into play. And pass the turn. All right, they keep hitting themselves in the face with a Mystic Forge, which I'm a big fan of. It was a mountain? What are you doing with red? Welding Jar, sure. I may just want to Fatal Push their Ornithopter if they don't do anything. So they have to regenerate it, and that will tap it if they want to keep blockers up in the air. Mirror Enforcer, sure, who cares? That's fine. You have a 4/4. Ugin's Labyrinth, yeah, you got it. You've returned the exiled card. Make big boys. Big boys are coming. All right, you go pass through phases. Need to clock them with this Murktide like twice. I think we can guarantee the first one here. Go to end step and Fatal Push the Ornithopter. Cast, push. Nothing is reach, so you have to regenerate it if you want to not be put on the quickest clock ever. Yep, there's the Welding Jar. Regenerates it, but that also taps the artifact. My turn. Now we're kind of actually looking for another Fatal Push. Psychic Frog's not the worst. I think we're still more interested in casting Deep Analysis. Targeting ourselves. That's going to grow the Murktide to 7, so it's actually properly a 2-turn clock now. Draw 2, Misty Rainforest, great. Go to combat, get in for 7. They go to 6. Could I have killed them there? No, I could have brought them to 1, 2, 3. I could have brought them to 3, so I'm glad I didn't do that. I was thinking about what if I was supposed to play the Psychic Frog and pitch all my cards and grow the Murktide, but that would have been slightly silly. Let's fetch. We are going to drop our Psychic Frog. Island. This, that, this, Psychic Frog. I need this to be black. Psychic Frog. Beep. Alright, opponent, go. 4 mana for a 1-ring. That's pretty gross. But on the bright side, hopefully their 1-ring deals enough damage to them where I'm just such a happy camper. Another Frogmere Enforcer, which should end their turn. Now they can go to like combat and attack for 9, but it'll only be 8 because there's no way they're going to send that Memnite in. But then I can also hold my Murktide back. I think we're going to take the 8. Very lucky to hit that 1 ring there. That's unfortunate for us. All right. Draw card. Cool. Now I'm actually kind of into just drawing another Orcish Bowmaster here. They go to 5. They exile the top card. Does that deal a damage to them? Pay 1 life. No, so they actually have to pay the life. That's cool. All right, me go. Deep Analysis is cool. We can draw some cards here, though we need to be very cautious about our life total. Let's start with a Consider. Counterspell is actually kind of ideal here. I think we can get our Psychic Frog to being we can get our Psychic Frog to being lethal, so we don't want them to resolve a flyer. So let's put that on top and draw it. And then just ship the turn. I'm not going to push my luck here. All right, take a damage off your 1 ring, please. All right, you've got this turn, dude. You're now at 3. Draw 2 cards? Sure. Glaring Fleshraker. I think we want to counterspell the Glaring Fleshraker. That sounds very bad to me. I also think they kind of have to attack out here. Relic. Do I care about Relic? Do I like spell piercing the Relic? Let's think about how they're going to attack here. They're going to attack us with 3 4/4s. I'm going to have to chump one of them to live. Murktide can eat the other, but then we're looking at needing to beat Ornithopter. That's the big bottleneck here that's causing us a headache. And we won't be able to flashback Deep Analysis either, which is kind of a pain in the ass. I don't want them to draw. I don't want them to exile our graveyard. Let's go ahead and Spell Pierce this. I don't love it, but it's what's happening. Their 1 ring is unfortunately at just the perfect number of burden counters where they might be able to steal this game from us. It was a good game nonetheless, though. If I draw Fatal Push, they die on the spot. If I draw Orcish Bowmaster, they die on the spot as well. Meaning I'm not pitching this Deep Analysis to Frog. I actually may want to hardcast this Deep Analysis. All right, ship in for 12. You have to do that here. Otherwise, you're just actually dead. All right, there's your 12. I have to declare blocks on all of them, which I'm not excited about. All right, go to blocks. Go block here. Block here. And then before damage, I guess we'll exile 3 cards from our graveyard. It'll be Consider, Counterspell, and Spell Pierce. And I'm going to make my Murktide Regent just huge. And we are going to go to, what is that, 3 life? All right, we've got like 3 chances to draw the thing we need. And if we want to draw Fatal Push, we have to draw an on-tap land. Or I guess a fetch will work, plus the Fatal Push. So let's see what happens here. Toxic Deluge. Yep, that'll do it. All right, blue, black. Toxic Deluge, paying just 2 life. Beep. Opponent, I think you're dead. Are we done? Yeah, we're done. Murktide is gigantic. Oh, they're going to give us the chance to misclick? I won't. 8 damage, please. All right, sweet. We got one. Now we're 1-1. All right, let's go into round 3, hoping we don't have to play against another colorless deck. All right, round 3, we're on the play this time. Love to see it. So I'll take the play, because we won the die roll, and that's how Magic works. All right, what do we got here? Counterspell, double Consider, Flooded Strand, Island, Darkslick, Subtlety, and a Gigantha in the Companion Zone. I think being on the play, we want to leverage the fact we're on the play a little bit more, so we're going to look for something with a Murktide and a Psychic Frog. Mulligan to 6. Double Drown, Spell Snare, Fatal Push, Orcish Bowmaster. This hand's worse, I think. But being on the play with Spell Snare, well, not worse, but like double Drown's not good, right? But we'll pitch a Drown in the Loch, and we can lead on Darkslick, have Fatal Push and Snare up. Then turn 2, we can play our Orcish Bowmasters, maintain holding both of those up and flash in Bowmasters. We'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure that Gigantha can mean one of 20 things right now. So we really won't know what they're doing until they play their first land. Arid Mesa. Okay, I'm immediately putting them on Boros. And if that's the case, our Spell Snare is going to be very good. Meaning we unfortunately can't just develop Psychic Frog willy-nilly right now. We're just going to pass. If we develop Psychic Frog, it can get static prisoned. They can just like resolve in a Johnny or something, which would be detrimental to us, and that's obviously not ideal. All right, Elegant Parlor. Now I'm locking them in at either Mardu or Boros Energy, meaning that like they could go Amped Raptor, Unstable Amulets, a Johnny here. There's like a billion cards they could play. Sacred Foundry Shock, tapped. Okay, so we're gonna flash in Bowmasters. If you're not doing anything, that's fine with me. Also, we'd like to draw land here. If we can draw land, we can develop Frog plus hold up Spell Snare, which is just infinitely better than playing Psychic Frog into the ether. All right, Bowmasters comes in. It deals a damage to you. Me make a 1/1. You want to discharge a net 2 energy? That's fine with me. Just a lightning bolt. That's interesting. I mean, I guess the energy decks do play both a lot of the time. All right, we'll take that trade. We take a draw. It's a second Psychic Frog. Now I think I'm going to develop a Psychic Frog. We will get in for 1, Since we have 2, if they don't deal with it this turn, we'll be able to utilize our Psychic Frog to gain some tempo advantage. And if they use their turn to deal with it, they're not doing everything they want to do. So I'm fine with both of those things. But our deck is more proactive when it's on the play, so we can't afford to just hold up counter magic the whole game. A 1/1 Orc army is not going to carry us through to the finish line. Either hub, there it is. All right, I'm confirming it's Boros Energy now because I don't think the 3-color deck should be playing either hub. There's an Amped Raptor. Amp Raptor always hits because of the way the deck's built. They find Felia, and that's actually fine. That's one of the cards I was more okay with seeing. And this also means that they can't just Galvanic Discharge our Psychic Frog, so they have to have Static Prison here to deal with it. Which they do, unfortunate. But we can deal with the lion's share of what's going on over there. We can take out the Felia, continue to hold up Spell Snare for their next spell. So the big thing we're trying to blank now is Flage. Another Spell Snare, not the best, but not the worst. Let's go ahead and deal with the Felia now, while we've got a moment to. Cast, not counter, but destroy Felia. And make them keep using energy on Static Prison. Hopefully they can't just, like, make more energy randomly. We can't attack, because unfortunately, the Raptor has First Strike, which is insane. Okay, you pay energy, you keep Static Prison. You don't want to give me that frog back, I promise. Yep, they pay the energy, makes sense. We go into combat, I'm not going to block. Youch. 2 damage hurts. Please play a 2-drop. They fetch. Please don't play 2 2-drops. I'm not emotionally prepared for that. Not Fable, damn it. I can't beat that one. They always have the wrong card at the right time. Or in my case, the right card at the wrong time. Ragavan too. None of those spells cost 1 mana. Very tough for me. Draw Orcish Bowmasters. Pretty good, actually. It's going to put us off of doing all the things we'd love to do. But we will Orcish Bowmasters them with the Fable trigger on the stack. Drawing land number 3 here would have been quite good at any point. All right, we go beep, we go beep, we go Bowmasters. I'm going to eat your Ragavan. Lightning Bolt Bowmaster? Sure, that's fine. I'm still going to eat your Ragavan. I'm still going to have a 2/2. Okay. You want to discard your hand and draw 2? Is your hand bad? Is there a Flage in there? Looks like they just pitched Sacred Foundry, which is okay. They probably have to pay the mana for Static Prison unless they just randomly have... Nope, Stomp doesn't help them. Static Prison trigger still on the stack. I don't know why they did that in their... Oh, Static Prison triggers on main phase. I was like, why did they do that in their upkeep? But that's just not how the card works. All right, they attack for 4. They get Treasure. This would be the genius time to drop a 2-drop while I don't have Spell Snare up. Just so miserable. Please don't. Please, pretty please don't. They pass. Okay, cool. Me draw. Me get Deep Analysis. I think now we want to hold tight. We don't want them to make any energy, which we can probably avoid. We can draw and unlock any threat they play. So we want to use, instead of developing our own Psychic Frog, we want them to develop our Psychic Frog back into play for us. So that's going to be our plan. They go to combat. I'm not going to interact at all. I'll go to 10. Ouch. A trick they can do is they can Galvanic Discharge one of their creatures and choose to pay just no energy, and that'll let them keep the Static Prison around. For us, that's obviously an ideal way for them to have used a removal spell, so it's not the worst. But 1, 2, 3. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Yep, there's a drown on the lock target. Cast. Counter. Stop. This is where they drop their Bone Crusher Giant and nothing ends up mattering anyway, but maybe we can draw into like Fatal Push would be pretty good. All right, they're just passing it, looks like. Orcish Bowmaster. Actually, not bad. All right, we are going to pass the turn. I think I see their line. What they want to do is make a copy of Amp Raptor, give themselves some energy. They won't be able to Cascade with the Amp Raptor, but they'll get energy to pay for the Static Prison. And if I can get them to use the reflections now, that's great. If they don't pay for the Static Prison, that's even better. Okay, I have a frog now. Now it's going to be so much harder for you to get in. All right, they're going for it. So here is my Orcish Bowmaster. No thank you. All right, trigger Bowmaster, hit the Amp Raptor. No extra Amp Raptor for you. I have an Orc army. We're on the board now, finally. Our life total is uncomfortably low, but that's just the world we're living in at the moment. There's no way you get him Goblin Shaman, right? I just destroy that thing. Okay, we're going to kill it. All right, let's start by growing the frog into an X3. And then we'll go to blocks, and then we will block. Okay, kill your Goblin Shaman. Neat. What you got now? You're going to Galvanic Discharge my frog, even though I can let it live. We're going to do that. Discard a card, Spell Snare. Discard a card, Spell Snare. Now this has 5, we have to just go Hellbent, unfortunately, but I like the Psychic Frog that's in play. They would need exactly another Discharge or another Static Prison in order to deal with it. And we do have an X6 now, right? Yep, a 5/6. You can just save 3 energy now, but you need another, oh, just Ragavan? Cool. At some point, it's going to make sense for you to play this Bone Crusher Giant, though, right? Yep, there it is. Bone Crusher. Pass to me. Pass to me. They're Hellbent. They haven't found Flage, which is really lucky for us. But our hand has developed kind of in a medium way. Deep Analysis isn't bad. We can use this to try to draw some cards. I think we're definitely just pitching the Deep Analysis to the Psychic Frog now. And they would probably love to block with Ragavan here, so I'm going to float this frog. We'll exile Bowmaster, Bowmaster plus Psychic Frog. I'm going to leave as many instants and sorceries in the grave as possible in case I draw a Murktide. Go to combat. Beep, beep. How about 6? Trigger the Psychic Frog, I draw. Undercity Sewers is not great. That makes me very apprehensive to flashback Deep Analysis. That will put me at 7. If they clone their Bone Crusher Giant and beep beep with everything, I guess I can like block the Crushers and take the Ragavan, but maybe let's play the Undercity Sewers first before we do anything else. There's a Spell Pierce on top. I think we'll put that into the graveyard. Yeah, they've got too much stuff. Put that into the bin. So we have to be thinking about lethal. All we need to kill them is for our Psychic Frog to have 10 power. How do we achieve that? We can draw for turn. That'll make it 6, 7. Flashback Deep Analysis, 8, 9. Then we need 1 more power for the Psychic Frog to be lethal. Now, if we Deep Analysis, we're going to go to 7. If we go to 7 and they make a clone of, say, Bone Crusher Giant, we can block Bone Crusher, and then take 2, go to 5. If they have a removal spell, we can block 1 Bone Crusher plus Ragavan, take 4, 5, 6, go to 1. I think it's correct because we have another Deep Analysis in the graveyard we can use to try to maintain leverage. So this is risky, but sometimes the risky play I think is the correct one. I would like to draw 2 cards, please. Okay, cool. Consider plus Undercity Sewers. And if they bricked here, they're just probably done. Reflections, make a Bone Crusher, sure. Go to combat, attacks. If they leave us at 5, we probably just win. We go to blocks, block here, go to 5. You can have whatever you want off the top of my deck as long as it's not a Fatal Push. It was Fatal, you gotta be kidding me. They found Fatal Push? No way. Yeah, dude, you got it. You gotta be kidding me. The reason we didn't play around the Fatal Push, because A, it was incorrect too, but the real reason we didn't play around the Fatal Push is because if we took a Bone Crusher Giant here, we would have taken an additional 2 damage, meaning we couldn't flashback Deep Analysis here and we couldn't kill them. Now we have some serious magic to play. I think we need to, I don't know if there's any way out of this. Let's Undercity Sewers first. All right, trigger the Undercity Sewers. This goes to the bin. We can make a giant Murktide. And with Murktide, we can block a thing. We got to consider here. I think we're just dead. Put that into the graveyard. Watery Grave, yeah, even with our Murktide, we're just dead. Because we make like an 8/8, sure. But then they clone their Bone Crusher Giant, they attack with everything. I block a Bone Crusher and take 6. They found the Fatal Push. That's just the worst. Okay, what's good against our opponent? I think they are on Flage. So here's 2 Nihil Spellbomb. Toxic Deluge is just good in a vacuum against them. Spell Snare is probably amazing against them, so Stern Scolding is actually better than Spell Snare. So I want both. And then potentially some Subtleties I could see being okay. What's bad versus this deck is a question. I think Counterspell and Drown in the Loch are pretty miserable. I don't like cutting removal in such a creature-dense matchup, but my Nihil Spellbombs are going to make it very awkward. I also think Counterspell is poor. Spell Pierce is like, I can cut 1 of those, and then maybe like 3 Counterspell. And this could look pretty good. I'm also a little bit suspicious about playing 4 Deep Analysis in this matchup. It could be correct to sideboard out a Deep Analysis in favor of either a Subtlety or a Dress Down. I'm also suspicious of Force of Negation. I think I want 1 to protect my queen. So what we'll do is we'll take out Deep Analysis and we will side in a Dress Down. That could wind up being pretty good. Let's try that. Game 2. Ooh, I am moderate to severely salty about them hitting my Fatal Push right off the rip. I think that game was ours to lose. But I don't necessarily think that means it's correct to block a Ragavan and not a Bone Crusher, because then we just kind of died to not being able to kill them, which is also tough. This hand is almost there. We've got one land, but no way to filter our cards. So if we just like have to Stern Scolding their turn 1 play, then we can't go and get a Undercity Sewers. That said, I can let their turn 1 play happen, fetch for Undercity Sewers, try to hit land, Fatal Push, then use Stern Scolding. Orcish Bowmasters is pretty good in the matchup, but I think that's super greedy. We're going to take a mulligan. This hand's much better. Well, not much better. This hand's somewhat better. We're going to have to lead on Preordain. We're going to keep this without a frog. We're just going to pitch a Deep Analysis. And we're going to open on Preordain and hope to hit land. Preordain. No. Neither of these are lands. One land, please. Hey, that's not a land. Cool. All right, pass turn. Could be getting sketchy. We played this is a matchup I've played a lot. It usually turns out that games 2 and 3 are pretty favored for this deck. But, you know, sometimes stuff goes down. Like if I just draw a land here, oh, we're in such good shape. But we didn't. And now I'm in deep shit. All right, let's play Nihil Spellbomb. I guess I should have left up Spell Snare, but they can just like attack with Ragavan and jam out a Fable, which is like very medium for us. All right, me F6. You do things. All right, what do you hit? Is it going to be a Psychic Frog this time, perhaps? It's just an island. Okay, the island I needed, but just an island. All right, there's Guide of Souls and Amped Raptor. Toxic Deluge, if I can ever cast it, will be a good spell at some point. All right, yep, trigger your stuff. Philia comes into play. It's looking dark. It's looking dark, kids. Land, please. I will cast Preordain. 2 lands. Top. I will play Darkslick Shores. I will pass. I don't know how we're supposed to beat this. I think it involves finding a copy or 1 copy of Toxic Deluge, which means we have to Spellbomb for it because we have a land on top, so we need to draw a Spellbomb and try to hit the card. Fable. Well, now that's no longer an option because we're definitely Spell Piercing Fable. Can't let that resolve. Oh, I guess I'm giving them a land off of the Ragavan. I completely forgot about that. But that's okay, because we can still Bowmasters. We're still playing this game, but we've got to be like 5% to win. And they flicker their Amp Raptor. Now, their Amp Raptor won't re-trigger because it has to be cast from hand in order for it to do the Cascade thing. But they still will get 2 energy, which is pretty good, because they can start jumping stuff with Guide of Souls, and their Philia gets bigger. All right, Raptor, you go up to 5 energy. That's so good. All right, take a draw. It's a Flooded Strand. So here, I think we want to just pass the turn. We're still looking at like Toxic being a reasonably potent spell. We need to use Orcish Bowmasters to not let them like just straight up kill us here. All right, they're casting Hearse. That's not a spell I'm interested in having resolve ever. So let's fetch for an island, play the island, tap for blue, and Spell Snare on License Hearse. Spell Snare on License Hearse. There we go. All right, they go to combat. We go to attacks. They attack with everything. Now it's going to depend where they put what triggers, because I'm certain they're going to want to float something. It's probably supposed to be Philia. It looks like they're targeting their own Guide of Souls. Oh, they're not targeting yet. All right, we're going to allow them to pay energy if they want. And they're going to target Ragavan. Okay, definitely want to go blue, black, cast Orcish Bow. And then we want to take this point of damage and kill the Ragavan. So that takes care of that. And then Philia is going to flicker the Spellbomb. Why would you do that? I guess I could blow up my Spellbomb to stop them from growing their Philia. I don't think that's very good though. That's fine. They can flicker that. And then I think we have to double block Guide of Souls awkwardly. Boom. Boom. Okay. I take 5. Hate to see it. All right, they have a Bolt, which is unfortunate, but we still did just need to take that block. I got to get stuff out of play. And now I suppose that eats their Bolt. So if I draw Toxic, I can Toxic for 3. And if they never draw another Bolt, we're A-okay. All right, Philia get big. Me draw. Me draw Darkslick Shores. That is not great. This is kind of a tough spot. If I flash in, if our opponent reads Bowmasters, they're going to jump Philia with Guide of Souls. And that is going to straight up kill us. That's 5 damage in the air. Alternatively, we can try to use the Spellbomb to find a targeted removal spell and try to trick them. I think we just need to pop this Spellbomb now. Pop this on you. Put my triggers on the stack. I will pay the black. We need to draw the card. That's the whole reason we're popping the Spellbomb. Subtlety, not great. No, we can't win. I'll play this Darkslick Shores. I'm going to give my opponent the opportunity to misplay, but all they have to do to guarantee a win here is to float Felia with their Guide of Souls trigger. They're going to play Ragavan, which is like fine. They're going to dash it. That's fine. They get an energy. Now, if they float the wrong creature here, I might get another turn. Maybe. All right, triggers are going on the stack, and that resolves. Are we floating Felia? Yep, they float Felia. So that's 6. I can't kill it. It's in the air. We die to just lethal damage. Oof, that one was rough. That was very rough. Maybe I should have been either more or less greedy with my opener. I'm not sure. But it's at X2, so we're fighting for 3-2. 3-2 is a perfectly average league finish. Let's just go for it. By the way, some league finishes aren't going to be great. I don't have, like, since I do so much paper content, I don't have time to, like, infinitely farm leagues and only put up, like, the best finishes, like the 4-1s and the 5-0s. So on the bright side, you're going to get to see how a deck operates when it's running hot and when it's kind of not doing so hot. But on the downside, the same thing. You're going to see the decks not do super well. But hopefully it gives you an idea on whether or not you should be playing that deck, because this blue-black deck is pretty tough to play. Sometimes you just have the Psychic Frog plus Murktide hand, and that's insane, but you're not going to have that every game, and when you don't have that, it's pretty tough. Our win rate so far is not very good. We did win match 2, but we won it 2-1, and the other games we've lost 0-2. So far for games, we're 2-5. If we can 2-0 our next 2 opponents, it will be 5-6, which is a positive win rate, so we're going to go for that. And we get to be on the play. Sweet. All right, we've got a frog hand. I think we're supposed to keep this. There's a chance we're supposed to consider turn 1. But I think I just want to get my Undercity Sewers out of my hand so it's not in my hand anymore. Yeah, we'll play Undercity Sewers, play the frog, plan to pitch the Deep Analysis, hope to move from there. But having a frog's pretty hard to mulligan. Spell Snare is pretty cool. I'm not going to have a ton of time to cast that with my current game plan, so we pass. Please don't play a colorless land. I don't want to just play against Eldrazi all day, pretty please. Bloodstainmire. That's not an Eldrazi land. Please don't Thoughtseize me. Oh lord. I need this Psychic Frog so badly. Looks like they're just passing, but that could be a sign of Fatal Push. I think I have to play into it anyway. Yeah, I can't just do nothing. Flooded Strand, fetch. We're gonna get an island, and we're just jamming our Psychic Frog out, hoping that they have a bolt or something instead of a Fatal Push. And even if they don't, we can still pitch Deep Analysis. And that'll give us a redraw next turn. So we at least get some value off of our frog. I don't like how good Fatal Push is in the format right now. It seems like it's at an all-time high, which is good for our deck because we're playing Fatal Push, but it's also good against our deck. All right, there's the Fatal Push. Activate and discard Deep Analysis. You got it, buddy. Go, 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 go. Bogart Bog. What is this scam? Are they dashing Monkey? They did put themselves at 14. Don't hate that. Highway Robbery entered the Exile Zone. I have no clue what's happening. We're just going to play Magic now. All right, my turn. Murktide Regent. Probably I'm supposed to protect this. We'll play Polluted Delta and pass. I was considering just jamming Murktide out. It's probably way closer to correct to get our second Undercity Sewers. And then consider. And then play Murktide. And then back that Murktide up with Drawn in the Loch. That's probably how we're supposed to win this game. Highway Robbery is fine. Are you going to discard a card or sack a land? They discard a... What is that? Yargle? Yargle and Multani? Oh. Uh-oh. That can't be good for us. What does that mean? Is this that like meme Asmo deck that shoots creatures at your face? Could be. It is an 18-6, which puts me at just so very close to dead. Goryo's Vengeance? I don't think so. Looks like we're not protecting my Murktide after all. Cast. I would like to counter that, please. No, thank you. All right, they fetch. Please don't Thoughtseize me. Obviously. Oh, it's just a Raucous Theater. That's fine. Okay, me go. I think I'd like to just get a Surveil in here. I really don't want to draw into my Surveil land. Is one of the main reasons, actually. Let's get Undercity Sewers. Surveil. It's a Murktide. Can I support a second Murktide? Not really. I'm putting that in the bin. All right, me draw. Counterspell, please. Not quite. All right, let's go ahead and consider first. Preordain. Could be I want that. What could I be looking for instead? Spell Pierce? Let's put that in the graveyard. I could just be looking for Spell Pierce here. All right, our deck really wants to Murktide just so badly. Let's go for it. Blue, blue, Murktide, exiling 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll leave it at a 7/7. I want to keep this deep analysis in the bin, I think. So we'll exile Polluted Delta and blue, blue. All right, there's Murktide. We'll play Misty Rainforest and pass. We're Murktiding pretty hard, so that's cool. Overgrown Tomb, shock. 7, 8. The rate draw, we could actually kill our opponent. We'll see what they do. Analyze the pollen. You collect evidence 8. If you do, you get a basic land card. If evidence was collected, instead search your library for a creature card or land card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Sure. Have you collected 8? What did you get rid of? Yargle and Multani? You did. And Goryo's Vengeance. I wonder what that means for me. Detective's Feet. Okay, there's a Death Shadow. That's pretty big. It's not very big, but it's pretty big. I think this is that deck. I can't remember the name of the creature, but it's a 4-drop that like shoots creatures at face by randomly exiling it from graveyard. And I think that deck also does play Goryo's Vengeance, but we'll see. I'm just gonna play as cleanly as I can. Fetch. We'll grab a tapped Watery Grave, and then we'll go to buy a turn. They've only got 4 in hand. That's just a Fatal Push. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and... Yeah, I'm not casting this deep analysis. I don't want to lose a ton of life here. I'm going to go for 2 mana. And I'm going to... You know what? 12 doesn't kill me. I think I'm supposed to push this Death Shadow first. Yeah. All right, push your Death Shadow. Please go away. I would like to cast this for blue. Blue and exile Flooded Strand, Psychic Frog, Murktide, Misty, and Fatal Push. Yeah, I guess there's no real reason to... I'll leave the deep analysis in there for another turn, because it still grows this Murktide into an 8/8, and I still get a 4/4. And then when I deep analysis, I get a 5/5 and a 9/9. Seems not bad. All right, attack for 8, bring you to 3. And then, whatever. Watery Grave tapped. I'm not flashing back that deep analysis right now. I'm afraid to die. I don't know what kills me, but I'm afraid of it. Okay, you're at 1. There it is. It's Crag and Wick Cremator. It's the Cremator deck. So I may just die here. We'll see what happens. Their hand would have to be, it would have to be very good. It's just a Detective's Phoenix. That does not kill us. Okay, we beat it. It was Cremator. This deck's hilarious. I'll put an image up of the card. Maybe. It depends on how my editing process actually works. If you don't know how it works when it comes into play, the Cremator, you discard a card at random, and then your opponent takes damage equal to the card's, I think, power, if it's a creature. And Yultani and Yargle, that's got 18 power. That's a lot. Okay, we want to get Nihil Spellbombs in. That seems pretty good. Also, I'm kind of into Consign to Memory. That seems not the worst. Stern Scolding seems medium. Dress Down seems fine, actually. And Subtlety seems fine. I don't want to overboard, though. I don't want Deluge. I don't want Damping Sphere. I don't want Force of Negation. I don't want Stern Scolding. I don't think I want Spell Snare. So these 8 are potentials. What don't I want? All right, here's what we decided on. I'm going to take out all my Bowmasters. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that these Bowmasters don't have a lot of utility in this matchup. I don't know how many X1s they're actually playing. I can't imagine it's too many, if any at all. Drawn on the Loch, it fights with Nihil Spellbomb. I'm sure there's times where you're supposed to keep both, but anytime I have my Nihil Spellbomb, I'm going to pop it pretty aggressively, I would imagine. So I'm taking out the Drowns. I'm taking out Spell Pierce. But we're on the draw. It's just not going to be as effective, especially against their early plays. And in the mid game, they can afford to play around it. Just seems kind of medium. We're still going to leave 2 in the deck. I'm going to bring in 2 more Subtleties for the Cremators as well as any other thing they're able to do. There's a chance that's overboarding. It could actually be more correct to bring in 1 Subtlety, 1 Force of Negation for their Goryo's Vengeance and stuff. Now that I'm saying that out loud, let's do that. I've talked myself out of my own sideboard plan. We're bringing in a Dress Down because obviously the Cremator is it does that thing. 2 Consign the Memories. It's really just to consign the Cremator's trigger. Also, I imagine they're going to be bringing in maybe Unlicensed Hearse against us. I'm testing it. I actually don't know if it's going to wind up being that good. And obviously, just 2 Spellbomb seems fine. Let's try this out. I don't know if this is overboarding or not. Ooh, boy. Okay, this hand has the Psychic Frog, Murktide hand. We're keeping that. We're probably pitching a frog to a frog here. And we can use the Force of Negation to try to stop ourselves from getting vengeanced too soon. Thought sees me? Ugh. They probably just take Murktide Regent. I'm just going to let it happen. I can't afford a 2-for-1 the Thoughtseize when it's just a 1-for-1 here. All right, they just took one of our Psychic Frogs. That's pretty interesting, because if they want to do it again, I can protect my Psychic Frog with Force of Negation if I deem it necessary. Thoughtseizing a redundant card kind of spells out what their next turn's play is pretty loudly. To draw both Undercity Sewers is not great. Let's go ahead and play one. Consign to Memory is cool. I'm going to put that in the bin. I just want to turbo out this Murktide as fast as possible. If they go to take this second Psychic Frog, I'm actually likely to pitch cast Force of Negation to protect the Psychic Frog, because I've got a plan, and it's to overwhelm our opponent very quickly, especially with how hard they're taxing their own life total. Blood Crypt, sure. Looks like they're gonna... Why did they shock that into play? They are Death Shadow deck, so that's an angle. They also might want to like double push our Psychic Frog. I mean, I'm just doing this. This is just going to happen. I will pay 2. I will hopefully not get Yargle Fargled and play Psychic Frog. Okay, go. And if they go to remove the Psychic Frog, they didn't do anything. Why did they hold up that 2 mana? It's literally probably just because of Death Shadow. I'd have to imagine. They pay 3 life for the Bogart Bog, which is fine. All right, they do have a Death Shadow, sure. And they're passing. All right, looks like we're Murktiding for sure. My turn, me take draw. Looks like they want to try to take out the Frog now. I am interested in Murktiding, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate this Frog. I'm going to pitch Undercity Sewers. Don't really need to make the land drop this turn. I'm going to discard another card. It'll be Consider this time. And then I don't think I'm going to get use out of this Force of Negation, so I'm going to discard that as well. Okay, you may kill my Psychic Frog. We draw a Counterspell. That's kind of awkward, but we have to do the thing our deck does and put this giant Murktide Regent just into play. 1, 2, 3 plus this and this. It is a big. The 6/6, which at least currently is bigger than Death Shadow. And in order for the Death Shadow to be big enough to like kill it without dying, they'll have to put their life total at lethal for the Murktide. So hopefully this is awkward for our opponent. And hopefully their land isn't... Okay, it's not. I was going to say if their hands just land plus Cremator and 2 Yargles, we actually are just dead, which is not great. They go to combat. Will they attack? That would be insane, right? If they just pass to us. I've got Counterspell plus Preordain. All right, I think we win now. Attack for 6. Hiya. Your Death Shadow's a 9/9, and that's only half of my life total. All right, you now have to kill my Murktide, and I have the Counterspell. Tap for 2, Highway Robbery. Sure. Draw 2 cards. Probably sacrifice a land to do it, maybe. Nope, they discard Yargle and Multani. Are they on Goryo's here? Oh, sorry, buddy. Spell Snare, Goryo's Vengeance. I think you're dead. Yep, you're dead. Cool. Does that put us at 2-2? All right, we start. All right, now we're back up at 4 and 5. So if we can tour our next round, positive win rate and free league. Love to see it. Let's get into round 5. All right, we found our round 5 opponent, and we are unfortunately on the draw. This 7 doesn't look particularly good. Our opponent did keep 7, but our 7 is 4 lands, which is already like a non-starter for a deck with 19 lands. If you play 19 lands, you're not planning to have 4 of them in your opener. On top of that, we can't deal with the first creature they play. So this is just like a really easy mulligan. This is triple push, Consider Subtlety. I mean, if it's a creature deck, these pushes will be great. I do not, however, want 4. And we just need to draw some action over the next 3 turns. Darkslick Shores, play Preordain. Could be a mirror. Could also be Grixis. I'm going to treat this as the mirror for now. Which our hand, not super set out to beat. I mean, I guess reactively speaking, we have kind of the ideal hand. Just because we have the Fatal Push for the first Frog and the Subtlety for the Murktide. And we drew a Counterspell. Okay, it's not actually the worst. We're going to pass. In an ideal world, they don't do anything meaningful, and we get to just use this to go grab a Undercity Sewers, get a little surveil action going. However, if they play Psychic Frog, we do need to Fatal Push it. All right, Psychic Frog. It's Fatal Push time. Watery Grave, shock it into play. Tap for 1 black, Fatal Push your Frog. All right, cool. No Frog for you. All right. Draw for turn, have Counterspell up, love to see it. Spell Pierce, also not bad. We'll just pass. Our opponent likely, on turn 3, they're unlikely to do anything super meaningful unless they have another Frog. I think we're supposed to consider. They Preordain. That's fine. I'm not going to interact with the Preordain. We're supposed to consider, and if they happen to have a Bowmaster, we'll go ahead and Fatal Push the Bowmaster. Or you know what? Alternatively, let's just... I do just want to get a Surveil in. Actually, let's not consider. Let's Surveil first. Undercity Sewers. What's that top card? Murktide? Leave that on top. And then we can play Murktide. I'm going to consider. If they want to Bowmaster here, that's fine. They don't have it, so we leave it right on top. That sequence was a little weird because we kind of wasted the Surveil. But that being a Murktide's like just ideal. Land. Land. Land up the top just to drown in the Loch. All right, we're going to hold this Murktide for a little bit. We really wanted to get it into our hand. Now we have the interaction, so we really just need to find a turn to staple this Murktide to the ground using Spell Pierce to back it up. And we have plenty of interactive magic for them. They do, however, just have infinite spells. That is a Psychic Frog. Let's go ahead and let that come into play. We're just going to Fatal Push that. And then Spell Pierce any interaction they might have for it. Okay, black, Fatal Push, cast Psychic Frog. Would you like to protect your Psychic Frog? You wouldn't. Okay. Land up the top. Preordain. Okay, I guess we're casting that. Blue, Preordain. Bowmaster plus Murktide. Well, nope. Bottom. Scalding Tarn. Okay, we're still not going to play the Murktide yet, but now we have it set up to Spell Pierce interaction / Counterspell interaction if we do draw the next land. Which we can try to set up using Scalding Tarn to go grab a Surveil. We're not going to interact with Preordain. How many have they drawn so far? 3. 2R1. It's a lot of card selection there, dude. It's too much. It's unfair. Stop. Cut that out. They went 2 top, 0 bottom, which is just like miserable for us. But they're not doing anything, which I am a-okay with. I'd actually like to make a land drop here. I don't think I want to just like cast a Psychic Frog right now either. I think I really do just want to land. I'm probably supposed to pitch anything that isn't that off this Undercity Sewers. Murktide, I love you, but go to the graveyard. My turn. Draw. Land. Land. Okay, that's pretty cool. We can drop Murktide here. They have the Counterspell, and I Counterspell them back, and then they have the Spell Pierce. Me big dead. I'm in deep, deep trouble. So their hand would have to be, they went top. Their hand would literally have to be, I cast Murktide, their only Counterspell that works is Counterspell. And then I Counterspell the Counterspell, and then they have Spell Pierce. Alternatively, I can go Murktide, they go Counterspell, I Spell Pierce their Counterspell, then they have to have exactly Spell Pierce, because that blank Spell Snare. Maybe this is the turn I'm supposed to go for it. I think it might be. I think we just gotta try to press our advantage here. We're up 1 mana for the turn, so we're gonna go for it. Blue, Murktide, and if they have a Subtlety, we can Subtlety back. So we go Consider, Fatal Push, Preordain, Fatal Push, and a land. And blue. Here's my Murktide. A Subtlety. We will also pitch cast Subtlety. Pitching this Drown in the Loch. Subtlety, target your Subtlety. Alright, they've only got 2 in hand, so they've got to have a Counterspell plus Spell Pierce here to stop my Murktide. Which is fine. How's this Murktide? Oh, wow. I get to hold Counterspell it now? Seems not great for opponent. Of course, this is the time where I'm playing the mirror and they're randomly playing like go for the throat in the main board. That would be very bad. All right, what did they do with their Subtlety? They put it on the bottom, which is great for us. All right, they pass, it looks like. Why did they top if they don't have anything to do? That's kind of weird. Now I have Spell Pierce plus Counterspell, which just can't be good for you. And I just drew a Subtlety. Great. Go to combat. All right, here's your 3-turn clock. Enjoy. All right, they're at 10. Pass turn. Blue-black Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, we're going to ignore Orcish Bowmasters. We just don't care about that card. The only things we're going to interact with are things that try to kill Murktide or try to block Murktide. It looks like they want to play a Murktide now, which I think we're supposed to open up with Counterspell and then pitch cast Subtlety if that doesn't work. Let's go blue, Counterspell, Murktide. They go Spell Snare. So they could have a Counterspell for my Subtlety, but that just is the way it is. Let's go cast by exiling this Spell Pierce. Subtlety. Is your last card actual Counterspell? Doesn't look like it. Subtlety, your Murktide. Okay. I can't imagine they're going to put this on the top because they just do not have the juice. Yeah, they put it on bottom. Want to beat for 2? Yeah, you want to beat for 2. Draw them out and dash Ragavan. Ooh, they're going Hellbent, but they're going to deal 4 here. But that does not put me on a 2-turn clock. And they're on a 2-turn clock. So they have to draw really hot here. Psychic Frog doesn't save them because they're Hellbent. So that's important. So the only thing that actually saves them is they can find Murktide as a blocker. They can play a smaller Murktide and try to win the race that way. All right, I just drew a Darkslick Shores that I'm going to hold in my hand. So attack for 7. And give you a draw step to get out of it. All right, opponent, you're up. Did you draw a Murktide? You're probably supposed to put their Murktide back on top, to be honest. Okay, cool. We're almost there. What do we want in the mirror? All right, here's the approach I think we want to take for the sideboard. We are going to bring in 2 Nihil Spellbomb, because obviously. Subtlety. Murktide's really hard for us to deal with. We really want to have Subtlety. I'm considering bringing in the 4th. For now, I'm just going to try 3. That might be a little bit hyperbolic. I think these Subtleties are better in the Eldrazi matchups and stuff. And Stern Scolding, I can look at my deck list to look at their deck list, because we're playing something very similar. They counter Psychic Frog and Orcish Bowmasters. Those are 2 very good cards that I'm interested in countering. They don't help us with, like, other counter wars, but I think it's just a high rate card. We're losing Drawn on the Loch because when we're bringing in Spellbomb, it's not great. Plus, Drawn on the Loch's big, like, premier thing you'd want to do is kill a Murktide with it, and their graveyard won't be big enough if they've cast a Murktide, which is bad. Spell Pierce, I think I want to keep some. I think I've been playing this matchup a little bit more. I've played the mirror, like, very few times, but I did play a league earlier where I played it once and I cut all my Spell Pierce, and was that this league? I can't remember. I cut all my Spell Pierce, and, like, my opponent's Spell Pierce seemed very good, and I think this matchup's texture is just a little bit different than the red, like Ragavan Murktide deck, and I think that just has to do with how much longer the setup takes since we don't have access to Unholy Heat and Bolt and stuff. And then we're just trimming as a consideration for their Bowmasters, and we just got a billion cantrips, and we want more like good cards in our opener so we can kind of sit back on our mana, because we're on the draw this game, so we are going to be a little bit more defensive than our opponent, or we're going to try to be anyway. Okay, we see Nihil Spellbomb, Scolding, Counterspell, Subtlety, Psychic Frog. Keep. We're keeping this hand. This seems fine. And they're opening on Undercity Sewers. Great. We're going to open on Darkslick Shores and just chill out for like a while, actually. A card I'm considering trying in this deck, I don't know if it would... Ooh, second Psychic Frog. Piece of candy. I don't know if it would necessarily be good in this deck, but like some number of Tamios, maybe cut like 1 Deep Analysis, 1 other cantrip, and play like a couple Tamios could be pretty cool. Just as like another thing to do on 1. I'm not sure how correct or incorrect that is, but I do want to try it. All right, deep pass to me. I would like to draw fetches if I'm drawing lands. That way I can start to surveil. Preordain's not the worst. I'm going to wait a turn to cast it, just because I don't want them to like Bowmaster me right now. I could Stern Scolding, but then we run the risk of like Psychic Frog, or let's see, if they play Bowmaster and I Stern Scolding and they just fetch, they would have 3 in the bin. I guess it would be pretty unlikely that they could Murktide us. They could do another fetch, go to 4 in the graveyard, and then surveil and go to 5 in the graveyard, and they could actually Murktide us next turn if we went for the line of like Preordain and then Stern Scolding a Orcish Bowmaster. All right, they're going to do another surveil, which is fine. Next turn, however, we will cast Preordain. We need to make our land drops. That's going to be an important part of this mirror match, I think. And it looks like they've already blown their loads on both of their Undercity Sewers, which we're kind of okay with as long as this game goes long. Ooh, looks like they're playing Desync into Stupor. I don't like that in this deck very much. But hey, they made their 3rd land drop and I might not, so who am I to judge? All right, we go to our turn. Don't have Bowmasters plus Spell Pierce, please. Preordain. There's the Bowmasters, tap for a blue, and I think I will Scolding here. Scolding Bowmasters, no thank you. Okay, they do have Bowmasters plus Pierce. I am actually going to keep them off the board. I'm going to pitch a Psychic Frog, and I'm going to Subtlety their Bowmaster. All right, sure, triggers go like that. Oh, they Subtlety. They're Subtletying back. Sure, dude. That seems not very good. Okay. I'm going bottom with my Subtlety, I think. Or you know what? Maybe I'm going top to protect myself from a Murktide. Let's go top, because they can Murktide us here, and I'm not interested in that. They really, really went deep on this fight. I don't know if that was correct. All right, Bowmaster comes into play. You're going to have 3 power. I'm going to be at 19. I don't know how good it is, but I think they have a Murktide. That's why I put it back on top, because otherwise there's no way they would go to this level of card disadvantage. Yeah, this is fine. We're going to go top with the Darkslick Shores. You know what? Do we just exile the graveyard now? Could be. I need to think about this. I think what I want to do is get my land into play here. I'm going to go... Actually, I think I might not want this Subtlety anymore, knowing that I have this land. That I have this land, I can use Spellbomb to exile the graveyard. Let's go. This might be wrong. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go bottom. Then I'm going to go top of the Darkslick Shores. I'm going to draw the Darkslick Shores. I'm going to take one off of the Orcish Bowmaster. I'm going to play the Darkslick Shores. I'm going to tap it. I am not going to get greedy and draw a card. I'm just going to play Nihil Spellbomb, and I'm going to exile their graveyard. Because I suspect they want to play a Murktide here. Okay. You're up, opponent. Now, unfortunately, this Bowmaster's quite good against my Psychic Frog, if that's the way I want to win the game. Sure, you've got a Spellbomb. I think yours is less good than mine is. All right, yeah, this is like a perfect mirror. It looks like their sideboard plan looks very similar. I just don't know why they're playing Sink into Stupor. That seems detrimental. But yeah, I take 3. We go to my turn. Please don't have Spell Snare. Or let me draw another land. One of those two things. Okay, I draw another land. I like that. Let's go blue and black and play Psychic Frog. All right, I have a Psychic Frog. Pass turn. All right, they're popping the Spellbomb, which makes perfect sense. They probably just need to draw cards now. They'll go up to 4 in hand, which isn't like super good for me. But at least their graveyard's still pretty thin as well. And they did miss a land drop, which at this point in the game, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Darkslick, that's a fine land for them to play here. All right, that's an interesting attack. I'm going to go to blocks. I'm going to block it. And then I'm going to pitch Spell Snare to Psychic Frog. Okay, I'm going to fetch with Polluted Delta. I hope you have 2. I'm going to grab Island. And then we're going to try to fight for our frog here. Counterspell, Fatal Push. Well, Zoinks, they have a Counterspell. Okay. That's not the greatest, but we can just draw Murktide here, and I don't know if they can win. We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, their Bowmaster being in play is pretty tough. Us drawing a Bowmaster would also be very good here. Okay, Migo. No land. Why do I say these things out loud? Okay, Watery Grave, tapped, pass. We're in Flood Town now, I think. Tap land, sure. Our opponent's a little floody too. I'll take 3 and go to 11. Youch. All right, my turn. Hopefully they're not just holding Counterspell. And I don't draw another land. Bowmasters. Stop you in your upkeep. All right, I'm gonna do this in their upkeep, so if they do randomly have a Counterspell in their hand, I can hit them. I can make them spend the mana on their turn. It's pretty inconsequential at this point. They do have Counterspell to their last hand, very lucky. But still, making them tap the mana now is better than having them tap it at my turn and on tap, because we don't know what they're gonna have to do with their mana this turn. And we'll take that stop off their upkeep. We don't need that anymore. Okay, we'll take 3, go to 8. We're still like really live to draw a Murktide here. Fatal Push, I mean, same difference. I'm probably supposed to Fatal Push that Bowmaster in their upkeep. That'll give us more live top decks like Deep Analysis and Preordain and Consider. All right, black, Fatal Push, cast Bowmasters. Okay, that one worked. Now we need to dodge a Murktide from our opponent. Preordain, that's not great. That's a pretty good start for them. What'd they do with it? 1 top, 1 bottom. They like something in their hand. All right, youch, take 2. They're playing Tamiyo, so they heard my idea. I think it's pretty sweet. I think Tamiyo is just generically pretty good, and I want to try it. Island, I am too far behind. So now, if we win this match, we can hope to go even. Because we're currently at 5 losses and 5 wins. No, 5 and 6. We're 5 and 6. What are we at? We'll look at the end. I think I can only go even now, because I think we'll be 6-6 for games, individual games. Knowing they have Tamiyo, does that change anything? I don't think so. Maybe I do want this extra subtlety. That could be the case. But what do I want to cut is the question. And I'm not necessarily high on cutting any of my things. I guess Spell Snare could be clunky, but it still counters so much to the deck. We're just going to resubmit this and try it again on the play. Now we're trying to be aggressive as opposed to reactive. All right, me play. Me have infinite interactive spells. I think we're going to keep this. This is a little bit weird, but we've got the Spellbomb in addition to a way to interact with every single thing. So we'll go Misty Rainforest, hoping that our opponent doesn't do anything on turn 1, letting us get away with just getting a Surveillance and trying to make our second land drop. Tap for black. What are you doing? Tamiyo. Okay, we do need to interact with the Tamiyo, so we'll fetch. We will shock in a Watery Grave. And let's Stern Scolding Tamiyo. No thanks. My turn. Land off the top, naturally lucky. I'm unlikely to draw the land, but make me lucky anyway. Rats. Okay, we'll try to find it anyway. Tap blue, consider, put on top, draw the land. That was close. All right, play the land and pass. We really want our opponent to like try to play a Psychic Frog or something here, and then we can just windmill slam a Murktide and protect it from subtlety. With subtlety, that would be very good. We might even consider at their end step just to try to bait out a Bowmaster. They shock, sure. All right, Nihil Spellbomb. I guess that's fine. Not a ton we can do about it. I think we will fetch. We want to get them to crack it as fast as possible, I think. So we're just going to go grab a Surveil land. Undercity Sewers. Okay. Orcish Bowmasters. Do we want to keep that on top? No, I think at this point in the game we're interested in actually making more land drops. Alternatively, we could Orcish Bowmaster them when they go to crack it. I don't think so. I just want them to crack their Spellbomb now. You may crack your Spellbomb now. You probably need to crack your Spellbomb now. Yep. You got it. All gone. All right, let's try to rebuild that graveyard. Spell Pierce, cool. We're going to go ahead and consider. We will put this into the graveyard. We will draw a Murktide. Not great. Let's just pass the turn. I think we need to hold up Spell Pierce and Spell Snare. And next turn, if we don't draw land, we'll just play Spellbomb. All right, they play land and pass. Sure. Migo. All right, we find the land, which is really great. We'll play Misty Rainforest, and we'll tap for a blue, and we will play our own Nihil Spellbomb. All right, you're up, opponent. We've got 2 Murktides. Our goal is to get both of them into play, to be honest. But our opponent needs to do some stuff for us to get away with that. All right, you Surveil, sure. They put that in the bin. I think we're definitely gonna crack this Spellbomb in their upkeep. All right, crack, target you. And then they play Bowmasters, so we're gonna fetch now. We're gonna grab a blue source and snare the Bowmaster. All right, blue, Spell Snare, Bowmasters. All right, now we're gonna tap for blue, and we're gonna Spell Pierce their Spell Pierce. We can't draw off of our Spellbomb, but we can still blow up their graveyard. Okay, nope, I can't pay the black, but no graveyard for you. And we tap them out in their upkeep, so it looks like a Murktide's just gonna come into play for us, unless they have double Subtlety. Me go. Me draw Darkslick Shores. Me play Murktide. Blue, Murktide. Get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe in this Murktide, so we're going all in. All right, Murktide coming to play. It's just in play. They do not have a Subtlety. I'll also play this Darkslick Shores, just so I can hard cast Subtlety. If it comes down to that, that could be pretty good. Also, drawing Deep Analysis and stuff is going to be a factor. And they are nowhere near close to casting their own Murktide at the moment. They went top bottom. They're casting another Preordain. Sure. Their plan might now be to turbo out a Murktide of their own. This one they went top bottom with as well. Play Polluted Delta pass. And then Ion tap, and hopefully the Subtlety is enough to stop them from out-Murktiding us. Spell Snare, that's actually pretty good as well. We'll go to combat, and we will attack for 7. Hiya. Bring you to 10. Okay, you go. They fetch to 9. They get another Undercity Sewers. They get a Surveil. It looks like their plan is to try to Murktide us. It might make sense to pitch Subtlety to Subtlety their Murktide, and then Spell Snare a Counterspell. They Preordain, that's fine. Scalding Tarn, are they just passing? Looks like they don't have anything for us. Okay, my turn. Draw turn, we'll just put that into play, I suppose. Go to combat, attack you. Now I can hardcast Subtlety plus hardcast Spell Snare, which is really good. So if they try to go Murktide and they have a counterspell to back it up, we've really got a big plan against that. And even if they can Subtlety to Subtlety, we've got a second Murktide, and if our snare goes to the graveyard, we should be able to outgrow our Murktide. Plus we have a fetch, so we can get a Surveil land. So we're actually in a really good spot here. Opponent is also at 1, and they're going to Fatal Push Murktide. That resolves. You can legally target the Murktide. It's probably so they can play their own Murktide if I had to take a guess. All right, there's their Murktide. I think I'm gonna fetch. Is enticing as a Surveil land is. I think I want to hold up Spell Snare. We're gonna go blue, 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 cast Subtlety. The only spell they can have to beat this is a counterspell, in which case I will Spell Snare counterspell. All right, we got there. What does that give us? That gives us a little bit of a 3-in-1. Can I look at that league? I think I went literally even. I can't. I'm pretty sure in the comments, if you can remember, I think I went even for game wins. This deck was pretty sweet. I really, really like playing this deck. I think I'm going to make some changes and play it again really soon. Also, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I think it's going to be pretty long given the fact that I've been recording for 2 hours and 10 minutes. But we'll be back with some more MTGO soon. We're going to play some Jeskai Energy. I want to do some Boros Energy, maybe some Mardu Energy, just the energy decks. And as well as some other cool stuff, like maybe some Izzet Wizards or some Jeskai Wizards, stuff like that. And if you want to request a modern deck, let me know. Real quick before I sign off, I don't know if I talked about this yet. This has been such a long recording. But pre-modern, what I thought would happen happened. You guys seem to like it, but it's doing about a third to a quarter as well as the rest of the videos with a ton of engagement, which means that not as many people are interested in it, but those who are like really passionate about it which I like. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to make pre-modern videos, maybe once to 2 times a month, and put them up on this channel. But if you want to become a patron, I think I'm going to start doing like a weekly pre-modern video as a patron-only content, because we've been doing patron-only content as well as early videos for patrons. We're getting to, keep saying weird, but I'm the one in charge. I'm probably going to redo the Patreon soon as well, with some different incentives and stuff, and make it a little bit easier to understand what you're spending your money on. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching as always. We'll see you next time.